What's going on YouTube? This is Necrostevo and it's time for the official week 1 of the Indigo League of Legends. So a little bit of backstory there. We're going to restart the league as far as weekly battles go. And my week 1 match is now against Trainer Connor, which means that first week 1 match against Mac is now nullified. Long story short, we had some people drop out, we had some new people come in. And Connor is back, one of my long storied rivals in the league and just generally on Twitter. So if you haven't seen his content, be sure to check it out because his channel is linked in the description of this video. And let's take a look at his team here. I actually am pretty proud of how I have been team building for him. So he left 3 of his Pokemon in the minor leagues, of course, so we won't have to worry about Beheeyem, Luxray, and Samurott. But for the first week of the Indigo League of Legends, I do have to worry about Diggersby, Zygarde, Cloyster, Heliolisk, Slurpuff, Magmortar, Bastiodon, Beedrill, Regice, Hitmonchan, Pangoro, and Duosion. Very interesting draft, given the Indigo League of Legends rules that you can draft anything that you can draft can be the Mega, but he only has 1 Mega Pokemon in Beedrill, or Impossible Mega if he decides not to run Mega Beedrill. And then alongside that, he doubled up on a little bit of his typing here. And so that, the one time I don't have a Weavile, because Weavile would just snap this whole team in 2. But I do run into a little bit of trouble with some of his Pokemon. So, what have I planned on bringing to this match? Of course, my team is still the same. So if you're interested in that, I'll have the full team that I can choose from. But for this battle against Necro, I have chosen to use Physically Defensive Fortress with Rocky Helmet once again. I still want to use Spikes and Stealth Rock. He doesn't have really good entry hazard management. He can set up his own entry hazards with Cloyster or Diggersby, Bastiodon, excuse me, I cannot speak. Of course, can set up Stealth Rocks, but he doesn't have a really good way to get rid of them. He has a few Pokemon that can use Magic Bounce, which might be annoying. He also has some things that can use Taunt to prevent them from going up in the first place. But since so many of his teammates are grounded, Spikes are really nice here, so we'll be trying to get those up as quickly as possible. Plus, he doesn't have, since I'm pretty sure he will be bringing Beedrill to the matchup because that's his only Mega, I'm not going to worry about setting up Toxic Spikes. Otherwise, that'd be really nice here too, just to put some nice offensive pressure on him. But Fortress, with a relaxed nature, I can actually pump a little bit of special defense EVs into it, just to make sure Slurpuff doesn't necessarily one-hit KO with, or knock me down into, if my sturdy happens to be broken but I'm at full HP. Slurpuff still needs a little bit to KO me with Flamethrower, assuming he's running like a Naive Nature or something like that to get the belly drum off. Of course, Magmortar is a thing. I expect that he'll bring Magmortar and that it will be Scarfed most likely with mixed attacks is what I would expect from it. But yeah, it'll be nice for using those entry hazards to whittle down his team. Now the next member I'm going to be using is definitely Crawdaunt. Crawdaunt poses as a pretty interesting linchpin for this team. With Crawdaunt, I can hit almost every single person on his team for at least neutrally very powerfully. With the only thing that can really come in against Crawdaunt being his, I guess a defensive Slurpuff would be an okay switch in there, because it could take the Dark move and the Water move and hit me back with the Fairy type move. So that's not something I want to deal with. He left his Luxray in the minor league, so I don't have to worry about Scarf Luxray or anything weird like that. And then of course Hitmonchan can use Mach Punch to punch Crawdaunt in the face with increased priority. Of course I do have to worry about Diggersby Quick Attack and Zygarde's Extreme Speed. To a lesser extent, maybe something like Scarf Heliolisk, or even just a Dry Skin Heliolisk, or my water moves will not be effective. So I will need to scout for those priority moves and that ability accordingly. Now, outside of those potential stops to Crawdaunt really puts in some work here. Just going to go with the very basic Life Orb set. It's important that I'm able to switch up moves here. He has too many. I would like to go Banded, but between being locked in with Aqua Jet against some of these things that I would like to be able to switch to the move for, because he can force a lot of switches here. And I don't think I'll give October an opportunity to set up too many entry hazards of his own, so being able to force that situation is pretty nice. Now third teammate, we're gonna go with Scarf Embor this time. Last time I went with a mixed Embor against Mac. Didn't get to use it because of that future sight shenanigans, but mixed Embor, not as useful here. Scarf, I really do like. It allows me to outspeed most of the Pokemon that he has. And then if he's relying on, say, Scarf Heliolisk, the Scarf that I have on my Embor will allow Sucker Punch to hit first. Fire gets amazing coverage against this team with his only fire resist being Magmortar. And Magmortar doesn't actually take those hits very well. With a Jolly max attack Flare Blitz doing right around 60% to Magmortar, assuming it's a mixed nature. Probably minus defense, I would assume. And then on top of that, I can run, if he decides to bring Cloyster, then I have superpower for everything else on his team that could possibly switch into the fire type move. So he's really going to, I really want Charizard and Embor to be my wall breakers in this matchup. His walls that he has, Duosion, Regice, Bastiodon, they can't really stand up to the likes of my powerful fire type. So we're definitely going to be taking advantage of that and really forcing a lot of switches, just make his whole team take a bunch of damage. And then at that point, then Embor can just come in at the end of the game and do a little bit of cleanup as well. Speaking of Charizard, I'm running a very weird set against Connor that I think will be very effective. It's going to be a mixed Charizard with Dragon Dance, Earthquake, Fire Blast, and I'm currently deciding between Roost or a coverage move. If I went for a coverage move, it would be something like Solar Beam, and that really only gets notable coverage against Cloyster, and it does hit Diggersby, but they are both hit by Fire Blast, and the only reason I don't want to run Fire Blast for those guys is because I might miss the Fire Blast. In the Sun, Fire Blast is basically a 2-hit KO on every single member of his team except for maybe Zygarde. And the reason I want to run Dragon Dance here is because after a Dragon Dance, I can outspeed his entire team. Mega Beedrill, everyone, Heliolisk if it's there, everyone there gets run out by +1 Mega Charizard Y. Furthermore, with Earthquake as a coverage move, that means on some of these other Pokemon like Magmortar or Bastiodon, I don't have to rely on hitting 2 Fire Blasts. Fire Blast has as low PP as it is, so I do want to save that to kind of be more spammy when I need it. I can also use Fire Blast and just switch in, use Fire Blast, and then switch out if I need to. I was thinking of using Overheat in that slot, but since I would like to utilize Dragon Dance to possibly sweep in the mid to late game, I want to be able to have a move that doesn't lower my special attack, basically. So with Charizard boosting the Sun into drought conditions, and then Embor also using those fire type attacks, and then of course Connor doesn't have any fire types to take advantage on his side, so his Heliolisk, if it has Dry Skin, will be losing HP every turn that it's in too, so that'll be a nice way to figure that out if it has Dry Skin or Solar Power. That could be a problem if he has Solar Power Heliolisk just because of how hard it will be hitting, but if he has Solar Power Heliolisk, that brings up our next member to switch into Heliolisk, which is Rotom, which I'm probably going to use a bulky Will-O-Wisp variant. I really need something here that can dodge Earthquake between Diggersby, Zygarde, Bastiodon, and to a lesser extent Pangoro if he wants to run that as some type of coverage. Rotom is just a nice switch into all that. He doesn't have anything that can Pursuit Trap me, and so that allows me to get Volt Switch off, and I can hit some things with some Shadow Balls here too, as if Diggersby comes in. Of course, he basically can't touch Rotom outside of coverage moves like Stone Edge. He could use Knockoff, but I don't think I'd stick around for that either. So I really like Rotom in this matchup because the ground and normal and fighting type immunity forces Connor to use some coverage moves that aren't very accurate or they aren't as powerful, and I can switch some teammates in there as well. I will be using Pain Split for this matchup instead of just going with the Scarf or Specs Rotom, because I don't hit very many members of his team super effectively with Rotom's Stab, but at the same time he doesn't have a lot to resist it, but I also don't want to be locked into one or the other. So if I'm using the electric type moves, he has 2 ground types. If I'm using the ghost type moves, he has Pangoro alongside Diggersby that can switch in there, and of course Heliolisk is immune to the ghost type moves as well. So don't want to be locked in, keep those options freed up, a little bit more bulky just to make sure that I can outspeed something like Pangoro, but I still want to be able to take hits from something like a Regice that's trying to set up. I need to be able to take the hit and Pain Split the HP away to at least leave him at a low amount of HP, so that something can come in and revenge kill it. I don't think we'll see Regice, just because of my fire types, but he might bring in expecting me to have Venusaur, so need to be prepared for that. My final Pokemon is going to be Togekiss, which I am trying to decide if I want to run a bulky offensive variant, or if I want to run just a defensive pivot. As far as Connor's ability to take on fairy types, he has 3 weaknesses and 3 resistances, so out of a total of 15 picks, not very many resistances, but what he has here, he doesn't really have a good way to hit Togekiss outside of coverage moves. Like Hitmonchan can use Thunder or Ice Punch, Pangoro can use Gunk Shot, Magmortar can use Thunderbolt, Heliolisk is basically his best check to my Togekiss, so that's what really makes me want to use more of a pivoty version, where I could use Baton Pass to get a little bit of that momentum back as he brings in Heliolisk. I could go ahead and something else and scare it away. So that's going to be the team for going up against Connor. Definitely expecting him to bring something like Zygarde, Heliolisk, Magmortar, Beedrill, Hitmonchan, and then it's kind of a toss up there. I'm sure he will have a Scarf in here somewhere. He might even bring Diggersby and Zygarde, just because my team against ground, I have quite a few ground weaknesses. Even though I do have 4 ground immunities, just having that many ground weaknesses means, hey, someone's going to bring ground types against you. So I want to punish him for doing so. It's funny how weak his team is to rock, but I don't want to bring Rhyperior to this matchup because he has so many ways to outspeed it. His priority from Cloyster will be super effective against it. And I just don't want to deal with that matchup. So Rhyperior and Aggron are definitely going to be benched. I don't see myself switching in anyone else here, such as my Venusaur or Liepard. Dragalge would not be a bad switch in here too, but again, worried about the ground type moves. And also Dragalge is a little bit slow for this matchup because of the things that can outspeed him are going to hit him and kill him in one hit. So don't want to bring him in on this matchup particularly, but otherwise I feel pretty good about the team overall. And you guys can look forward to that battle tomorrow. I'm going to do my best to be getting up each of these battles on Monday and get the team analyses up on Sunday. So I will most likely be battling Connor tonight, which is Sunday night, and which is good because I have to work again tomorrow. So we're going to go with that. And then I'm also going to do something for each battle called a post-battle press conference. So I'll be asking for your questions about the battle in the battle video when it goes up tomorrow. So I hope you guys look forward to that. And in the meantime, have a great day. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.